Now let's see what happened for the hydrogen atom when we introduce that into a weak magnetic field. So in this case, we have the Hamiltonian H cap equal to H naught plus H fine structure component, and another one is Hc, that is a Siemann component. So the magnetic field is big, and so the perturbation due to the Siemann or the magnetic, yeah, that contribution is going to be small, and the fine structure perturbation is going to dominate here. So I'm not going to deal the explicit details how this operator looks like, but one thing that we have to understand is that this is a dominant perturbation in this entire Hamiltonian compared to this, and when we are choosing the basis, we have to choose the basis in such a way that that has to be diagonalized on the uh, perturbation component H fine structure, this component, whichever one is dominating, that has to be diagonalized. So our basis has to be chosen in such a manner, not just about the second dominating component, the first dominating component. So that is the way we have to choose the basis. So we know there are two sort of bases that we have. One is the uncoupled one, NL, ML, MS, and another one is NL, J, and Mg. So this is the coupled basis, and another one is the uncoupled one. Now this fine structure is going to have the components of our orbital spin coupling, and it will be having some component like L dot S, that operator, orbital operator is acting on spin, and those details. So this operator is diagonalizable not on the coupled, not on the uncoupled basis. We can diagonalize it on this particular basis. So that is something I am not going to show you how that happened, because we are not that much interested at this moment regarding that. So one thing you have to understand is that this part of the Hamiltonian is going to be diagonalizable on this kind of a basis. Okay. So once you know that, you identify your basis. This one is suitable for that. Otherwise, what we have to do is nothing but we have to put the entire problem on this basis, NL, ML, MS. I don't know. I'm not able to identify the basis in which it is going to be diagonalizable. Then you have to do the entire diagonalization process and find out the corresponding n values, and sort of we know the whole process. But once you know this, then the things are much more simpler. Okay, so this is the basis that I'm choosing because this is my dominant Hamiltonian. Now, yeah, dominant component of the perturbation. Now what I have to do is I have to apply this operator H on this basis N, L, J, M, J, and here I have H naught acting on that, N, L, J, M, J. Well, this H naught, our unperturbed Hamiltonian, is diagonalizable on both these planes, so there is no issue regarding that. Okay. Now H cap acting on H cap Fs. This will act on the basis Mj. I'm not putting that value here, but I will take the final result once. What is this sort of a Hamiltonian cause on the energy correction? So that I will take it as a result directly. You can see the explicit form on the textbook if you want. Now Hc acting on NLJ MJ. Okay, so this is a component that we have to investigate. So that component Hc operator is going to be I'll write those common here separately. NL NLJ MJ. This is nothing but EBZ to MC. Our operator component is having some L plus 2S Z component. NLJ MJ. Okay, so that is something that we have to investigate. Now, you know the yeah, LZ. Okay, I can just write this in terms of angular momentum, just changing the form LZ plus SZ. LZ plus SZ is nothing but my JZ, the total angular momentum. So I can reform this entire expression in the form of JZ. So it will give you something like this constant will be there EBZ by 2MC. The first term LZ term is become now JZ term plus 1 SZ. Here 2 SZ is there, it will become 1 SZ. So this LZ, when it is acting on this thing, it will produce this MJ value, right? That's a total angular momentum along the z axis. So that IN value is going to be nothing but MJ. So MJ it will produce. Okay, this is common, so I'm putting here. Here we have MJ plus another component is going to be SZ. SZ acting on this basis NLJ MJ. Okay, so this is something that we have to investigate. How do we calculate that? The calculation of this component is not very easy. We have to use one theorem for that. So to find out that, I'll use Wigner-Egwart theorem. So theorem is theorem. We are not going to the details of the theorem. I'm just taking the result. So this theorem says if you have a basis like this, the coupled basis J M dash, and we have an operator, let's say A Q. It's not an operator, it's a multiple operators. So this is called spherical tensor operator JM. If you want to investigate something like this on an coupled basis, so we have a theorem. Theorem is nothing but this Wigner-Egwart theorem, which says this can be calculated like JM calculate J dot S J dot our operator, whichever operator it is, and not just one of the operator, that entire tensor J dot A on Jm will be having something J into J plus 1 H cross square on the bottom of it, and okay, it is not plus, which is multiplied with the another component, and that is Jm prime A Q. So we are taking one of that particular thing, whichever one is there, that we have to find out. In the case of spin, this is nothing but the z component of it, A Q on Jm. Sorry, A Q. This is nothing but JC. You have to take JC, angular momentum z component, Jm. Okay. So this is a way of investigating it. Now in our case of spin, it will become J m prime. Our basis we will write it in our own way. NL J M J J M J SC is the operator that we have to find out on NLJMJ. Okay, just finding out the metric element, but only when MJ uh, is the same. That's the only thing that I want to find out, because other things I know it's already zero. So this is going to be NLJMJ J dot S. J dot S and the basis NLJMJ. Plus next component is J m prime J. Okay, it's nothing but J set J. There is no plus. J set J of NL J M J J set NL J M J. That is the way component, and this is not plus, it's multiplication divided by that entire term will be the, which is h cross square J into J plus 1. Okay, so this is something that we can get immediately. J set acting on the basis NLJ himself, that is going to give you your MJ. You will get the MJ value here. So MJ will be there along with this term. So I'm just taking it along with that. That is going to be NLJ MJ, and I have to find out how J dot S is acting on this state. NLJ MJ. Okay, this MJ is already there, which corresponds to that term. Now, how do I find out this J dot S? Whenever this kind of a term is there, angular momentum terms, what we have to do in general, this is total angular momentum with spin. So let's take something like L dot S. This is a orbital to spin commands. How do we find it out? To find out what we have to do is we should have an L dot S on the expansion of some known expression. So I'll take something like J square. I know J square is a total angular momentum square. So J is nothing but L plus S square. So we'll take L square plus S square plus 2L dot S. Why it became 2? You must tell me. Okay. Now you will be getting L dot S. L dot S from that, which is nothing but L square minus, sorry, J square minus J square minus L square minus S square divided by 2. This is something L dot S. But what we have to do is we have to find out J dot S. To get that, we'll take J dot s. Okay. Where j is nothing but L plus s into, sorry, it's operator. Just okay. S. Hmm. Now what you have is one L dot S term plus S square term. So L dot S, you have found out the value here. So this also you have to frequently use. So better know the equation. In spectroscopy, it will be very useful for you knowing this quantity at the beginning itself. So yeah, L dot S, that is nothing but this J square minus L square minus S square by 2 plus S square. This is going to be J square minus L square minus S square divided by 2 plus 2S square by 2, right? This will become J square minus L square plus S square divided by 2. 2S square and minus S square will become S square. So this is a expression for our J dot S.